Happy Thursday. Figured that it'd be good for this next thing with Groq and Groq to actually go back to the beginning and go over how to actually use Groq Cloud, which is one of their main services, and really the thing that's being super awesome to really just build out all sorts of awesome applications. So you go to console.groq.com and you'll know you're in the right place. It's right here. If you happen to have an account with GitHub, all the better. So that's typically how I log in. And then once you get there, you'll get to the playground. And so going from left to right, top to bottom. So here you'll have the system message. So think of this like the overall message of what you want the model to act like. So we'll just say act like a senior programming tutor with expertise in Rust, Python, and oh heck, let's go SQL. And then here is where you'll put the actual message. So let's say, how do I install Rust on my laptop? Let's go with MacBook Pro in the terminal. And so on the right hand side here we have the selection of the models. So Groq by itself is really about accelerating inference using this application-specific chip that they made. Right, so the language processing unit, or LPU, is optimized for the task of interacting with these different AI models. So you have a choice of Gemma 7b, which is an instance that Groq Cloud is hosting. That's the open source version of Google's Gemini model. Then you have Meta's Llama 2 70b, so that's 70 billion parameters. And that is from Meta. Right, then the large language model Meta AI, that's where the Llama comes from. And then you have here from Mistral AI, so the French company, that is their mixture of experts model, so Mixtral, not to be confused with Mistral, but this model is 8 of their Mistral with an S models that have been merged together, hence the mixture of experts. That are all 7 billion parameters each. And when we think about parameters, the easiest way is just to think about how many possible connections can a model end up making. Hypothetically, the more parameters, the more possibilities it can end up working through, but you also have to think about the data that it has. So then going, so back here, left to right, once we put this message in, we can put, or once we put the system message in, we can put a new message here. Oops, we're going to do that. Not do that. So if we do end up having an oopsie, we can just click delete here. And then, for me, on a Windows computer, it's Control Enter to actually use it. And then, right, whew, you go and how fast it is, and it'll tell you on the bottom here, inference, and what the tokens per second. So when you think of token, basically think of like a word. So that is 571 words a second. That is, I mean, that's ridiculously fast. And so we have here, right, we have a breakdown from the mixture of experts model, and it actually gives you these commands, and I can tell you that that is correct. And right, it's from the terminal, so like if I was to run up on my computer, it would end up pulling up the command line, and you run that directly in there. Bash being what is typically default on a MacBook Pro. And so if you have a new message though, you go right here and say, how do I install I don't know, VS Code on my MacBook Pro? But this time, let's actually, oh, you know what? No, let's ask, how can I install Rust on my MacBook Pro in the terminal? So same question, but this time we're going to ask Gemma 7b what the question is. So that ability to hot swap the different model and then still ping that for that same question. Okay, so right, we see that Gemma ended up asking or answering in a little bit of different fashion, but overall again we see that effectively the same answer, you get the answer to your question. And then here we can also ask Llama 2. And so now we're asking the same question to Llama 2 70b. Pretty similar. So at this point we're going to have very minimal difference between the different models for more of the basic questions. And so going down here, we see when you hover over something, you can see it'll tell you something with it. We think of temperature for a model. Really, it's, to be simple, it either goes down to 0 or to 1. 0 is very much, it will just regurgitate what from the training sets or be just much more prescriptive. And versus higher temperatures, like 1, means it will end up becoming a little more free in the answering, a little looser on the constriction of it, but then that may increase the chance of it hallucinating, which is really just it making an inference outside of what may be the scope that it has. Tokens, right? So this being the maximum number of tokens or words that can be output. So right, and I'll tell you here what this ends, what the limit is. And then this is telling you that it's continuing data in a stream versus all at once. And then the JSON mode for those who end up using that. And top P. And really with these, for this one, just keep it basic and not necessarily go into all this, but the important thing is that typically to consider that you have access to these 3 different models. You put in what the overall way that you would like to sort of frame the role that you'd like the model to take out of any of these 3. So in this instance, you are telling, hey, Gemma 7b, act like a programming tutor. Now it's, hey, Llama 2, act like that. Hey, Mixtral, act like that. And if you were to change that system message, that would then result in a change in how the model would end up acting within the limits of its overall training data set. And so then here you have the documentation for both how to get started and being that you can put your what's called API key or application program interface key specific to you and just you into your environment, and you can make that API key. So you can't see mine, you'll see secret key here, and you'll know that's assigned to you, right? And so every time that you're making an application, you're assigning that specific key. So if you're putting something on, say, GitHub with Groq, then just make sure that you're not leaving your API key there out for anybody to go and grab that. And so there's different ways here: curl, JavaScript, Python, JSON, any of those to be able to add in for when you're building with it. Again, as we see here, the different models are supported. So these are being hosted through the cloud, which just means on a computer that was running with the Groq LPU, and you can see the actual model card on Hugging Face. And then what the changes are, and they're, I mean, coming fast and furious, my goodness. And then some good examples. And again, this is all from the console here, so really cool how to be able to see this, right? So you can even just click and give you great documentation. I mean, just it gives you all the things you need. And also with the GitHub repository here, right, for those who have experience with GitHub. And if you don't, well, it's a great way to be able to learn. And then a lot of great showcase applications here, just to be able to get really inspired by all the different things that you see out there, because it really is just, I mean, people are making stuff that just blows your mind. I think personal favorite off the top of my head is this answer engine made by, who was it? Oh, Developer's Digest. Super duper great. I mean, this thing is just bananas. I've taken a little bit of it and made something of my own locally. I'm not still tweaking, but just absolutely phenomenal to see. Very much like Perplexity AI. And then keep on going here. We see all these additional, like for the chat completions. Nobody goes with that. For those who are using OpenAI, want to be able to use that. Using tools.
Message on your phone from wife woman saying, "Well, I'm running later after all."
LangChain, Groq libraries, and LangChain, that's really great for that retrieval augment generation. Then Llama Index, particularly now with that Llama Parse, so being able to actually parse your documents, again for that retrieval augment generation. API key, right, so that's just where, in order to be able to access it, so to use Groq Cloud or to use the Groq software development kit, you need to be able to have that API key, because it's basically your, like, think of it like a car. If you don't have, your car key only works with your car, assigned to that your car. So the same way your API key, that is your key to access Groq, and being able to use it for the inference, to power that inference. Now the function calling and whatever else is within their overall SDK, the software development kit, it's being tagged specifically to you. So definitely sensitive piece of information. Make sure that you hold on to that. And if you ever have any concern, well, they've got plenty of checks in place, but definitely keep it in a safe spot. And not just something to be putting out there onto your GitHub repo if you are, and you're excited to put something out there. Let's see, and oh right, you can put your organization here, billing, limits, profile, all that goodness. Yeah, I mean, it's just super cool, right? And they're going to be adding in a paid service with this, but currently it's a limitation on just it's free to use, which the first question I have is like, okay, how much money does this cost? But then, right, so we see this here, and I mean, very generous in terms of where everything is right now. I mean, let's see, 14,400 requests per day, 30 requests per minute, 18,000 tokens, so 18,000 words per minute. Yeah, that's, I mean, I'd call that generous. I mean, that's a pretty big number, 14,000. For a comment, I mean, I'm good with that. I don't actually know if ChatGPT can it make 30 requests per minute? My gut says no. So, but really, if you take away nothing else, take this. That is the difference of Groq versus, say, most of the other, pretty much anybody else, is it's the ability to have that fast inference. We think inference, that's chat, answer, question, answer. Tell it to do something, it does it. With not it and any model that Groq has with a Q, not to be confused with Groq with a K, but that they've taken these very popular models that are really great and have shown their stuff, i.e. Mixtral from Mistral AI, Gemma from Google, and Llama 2 from Meta, but the 70 billion parameter model version from Meta versus the 7 billion. And they've allowed for them to be served up and accessible and rapid inference, that super quick ability to get your answer, and as much as your creativity will take you to then put it and accelerating whatever it is you're working with. So the sky's the limit, and super excited to see where this goes and what the potential for having personalized intelligence at your beck and call that is, 500 words a second. I don't think I can read that fast. But the future with this, it's really bright, and I think it's just awesome. And I'm super excited, super glad to be able to learn and use these tools and see the community growing, and I can't wait to see what's in store. Alright, until the next one, and hopefully, I hope this is helpful to be alert, not anxious, and really to understand how at least one part, and I hope if I've made any mistakes, please call me out on that. I'm still definitely learning myself, but I'm just really glad to be able to give and hopefully pay forward all the help that I've been given here. Alright, until next time.